All right, brother. Thank you so much for talking to me today and welcome to this short little interview.
No worries at all, bud. No, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, if you want to start out by telling the viewers a little bit about yourself, your name, what you do, all these kind of things, age.
Yeah, so my name's Aaron. I joined Fred Trading back in, I think it was April, May last year. Literally saw one of your Facebook ads about like the new dad ad, and I think so for me it resonated massively just because my son was born in June.
Hmm.
I work full time, so I'm basically like a recruiter or kind of headhunter for different audiences. Um, and basically just looking for some extra cash on the side, like even if it was a couple £100 a month, would have been ideal. And then looking to scale that, and I'd been looking into trading for some time, dabbled a little bit, but the problem with YouTube and stuff is you just don't know kind of what's true, what's
Hmm.
bullshit, really. But and I think with you guys, like looking at that is obviously yes, you've got one side of it, which is like the copy the signals, which is some some of the trades that go in are just nuts. Like having a chat with like Hardtage and stuff as well about when he's closing stuff at like 280 pips,
Yeah.
whereas online you see like a lot of the gurus that are making £500-600 a day with 2 or 3 pips because they're putting 5 lots on trades and stuff. So that's one side of it for me, which I love. But then also just like the education piece, like the stuff that you've put together, the videos and stuff as well. You can actually get an understanding of when the analysis comes out, when trades are put on. You can look and go, actually, yeah, this is why you've done that. And even with your lives, like the most recent one. I think you said on there like it was quite a risky gold trade. It was looking at a sell,
Hmm.
but then went into the buy because it was like you could basically get tricked in the market and things. And basically everything you said literally just played out,
Yeah.
which was easy.
There was a fun trade actually. I don't remember if it was the last gold or not, but we took three gold trades there. The first one, quick TP1. The second one, we sold, but it was a trap sell. So we immediately
That was it.
closed that in 30 pips and bought instead, and then it went straight up to TP2. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that's for me, like when I do these kind of things, it's funny because I take three trades on gold in the span of maybe 20 minutes or something like this. I don't know how long it was. And some of them are buy, some of them are sell. And people are like, ah, you don't know what you're doing. You're just buying and selling and buying and selling. You need to have a
Yeah.
bias. You need to do the same. And I'm like, dude, you obviously don't know what you're talking about because people that says that you cannot switch your bias during a trade, they have no clue what they're talking about. Because
Exactly.
trades can flip like this, and you need to be able to switch your bias from a buy to a sell or a sell to a buy in 2 seconds, man. It can go so
Yeah.
fast.
Well, I think that was the thing. You even said it, didn't you, on the live? Is like there's a chance this literally can go back and hit a fair value gap, which I think was at like 27.35 or whatever it was, but it could be a trap, so let's enter it. It
Hmm.
then went up and flipped, and he was like, right, we're back in buys. And it was like in that short space of time, the analysis was there of what it could do. It then did the other thing you thought it was going to be, and then it skyrocketed. So I guess it's also like you see it with a lot of people is kind of the risk management, which is another big piece of the kind of
Hmm.
sort of trading and stuff that you do. If everyone's full margin in every trade they do, it's going to be a lot when they're losing kind of 10 pips, 20 pips here and there, really.
Yeah, for sure, man. But that's also why that specific trade I only put at tight like 30, 40 pips stop loss. And for me, that's tight. For some people, that's big. But for me, that's tight because if it breaks a certain zone, then I would rather switch my bias and then put in a buy instead, right?
Yeah. Well, I think as well with that, the signal that you put in, it was half risk as well.
It was, yeah.
So it was
It
like,
was.
it was literally there in black and white as to what the plan was and what it could and couldn't do, basically.
Mhm. Have you been part of other groups than Fred Trading, Aaron?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's you kind of get sort of sucked in a little bit with social media or whatever it is, and people driving around in Lamborghinis making all this money. And I think
Mhm.
when I joined a couple of them, it was very much didn't really understand the trading element of it. And you like you said, you're getting sucked in by someone making £500 a day, working 10
Mhm.
minutes on their phone, and the usual kind of stuff that comes with trading. And it's just funny now because I look at it with much more of an understanding and think like, okay, well that gold trade is 2 pips, but you've put a 20 lot on there, so no wonder you're making that sort of money. And it's kind of like it's quite funny because it's obvious now, but I think why a lot of people get sucked into that is just because it's not, if you don't know what you're talking about. And I think what's so different with you guys, not only the trades are ridiculous, but it's the educational piece. And even like the 5 hour video that you've got, just as like a short course and stuff as well, just to make sure people know what they're doing, just from a basic perspective. And then on top of that, with the community that you've got, there's a lot of people in there that are good traders and sending different
Yeah,
analyses.
man.
And a lot of it is kind of in parallel to what you guys are sort of saying as well. So there's some learning that I've done, obviously from you, my own self, and then also just from the group, is to understand if I thought it was one thing and someone else thinks it's the other, looking at their analysis and going, oh, actually, yeah, I can see that, or I missed that bit, and then incorporating that into kind of the next trade as well.
Hmm. For sure, man. Because I'm always curious when I talk to people who's part of other groups, what their experience is in those groups compared to my group, because obviously I want to also learn and do better. And so I'm always curious to what we do better than other groups, or worse even, because you've been part of other groups.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the biggest part of it, right, is obviously winning.
Yeah.
Huge, but I think the other thing is also the way that you trade in terms of like TPs and things as well. So some of the others that I've been in have been like TP1 is 10 pips, TP2 is 20 pips, and it's going to like say 50 or something like that. And it's just kind of, are people doing that because actually they're not entirely sure what they're doing, they're not using different levels, and it's like they're almost chancing it of, oh well, there's news coming, so it's a 50-50 chance. Is it going to go up or down? So I'll put this in at 50 pips once at TP3. Whereas actually with you guys, it's almost scary in a sense because you're calling, let's say, gold or something like that, and it's happening a week later. When you guys are like, oh, I think gold's going to go to this week. First trade, let's say, is gold and it's a bit of a loser. Everyone goes nuts, and then the next one,
Yeah.
next one, next one, next one, next one is win, 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 and all of a sudden we're up 1,000 pips in the week, and it's gone exactly where you've said it's gone because the analysis is there. And I think showing your workings almost as well, of like, this is what you see on like the 4 hour chart. This is what it could do, but at the same time, while it's going up, it could also hit these potential zones as well. So, like you're saying about being able to switch between buy and sell, is seeing it when it's doing that and then kind of doing it accordingly.
I
You
appreciate
just
that,
don't
man.
get that in other groups, I don't think. It's very much just a numbers game to them. Like I said, trying to get you on board with their brokers and then just kind of
Yeah.
chucking in random trade here and there, really.
For sure, man. For sure, man. Well, we definitely try to do the best and give the most value to our members, and that's also why I do the live. I do not send too many analyses on my trades, but that mostly because I'm scalping and I simply do not have time to make it
Yeah.
because it goes too fast and nobody would be able to enter, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so
Yeah, I think it's when you're looking at someone like Hartage that does it as well, like and this is not only like obviously Fred Trading is you, but I think the selection that you've made with your team is crazy. Like again, for me, it doesn't matter which one of your team is sending the trade, the kind of hit rate is there across the board. Um, and it's like I speak to Hartage quite a bit when I just send him stuff, and it's like when he when you're getting a message to say fully close 280 pips, I don't know many, if any, that have that kind of within their groups. And like you said, for free basically as well, which is
Mhm.
crazy. I don't think there's, like you're saying about you don't do lives too often, or kind of analysis and stuff. I don't think the expectation is there, because it is free. Like when you do your lives, people are winning on the lives and also then in the groups as well, which is
Mhm.
crazy, to be honest.
It is, bro. But I prefer to do the live so I can kind of show how I'm doing it instead of just because I can send an analysis and it's a chart. There's some trend lines, but I prefer to like go on live like at least maybe once a week.
Yeah.
If I can, then twice a week, just to show like also my view of what the market should probably do this week and hopefully take some trades, right. It's been a
Yeah,
very 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 good few lives, the last many ones, a lot of wins and not so many losses, so it's been awesome.
definitely. Yeah. And I think, like you said, from what I want from it, in terms of like the learning piece, that's where it comes into it. Because like during that live, I think you flipped between like 4 or 5 different things. Like one was gold, crypto, and
Mhm.
just showing what different things we're doing. And the chat was involved in, oh, have you looked at this yet? And then checking, oh, if we enter here, it could do this. And I think even during the live, you sort of said, oh, I think was it US 100 or something like that, where you sort of said, oh, if it drops to this zone, we'll get in. And 10 minutes later, it's done exactly that. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's just sort of solidifying the confidence, I guess, as well.
Yeah, man. But you've been part of Fed trading for what, 10 months now, I think, around 10 months probably. Uh,
Yeah, so that's when I joined. And so I took like a bit of a different route, I guess. So I joined with like an initial, I think it was like 300 quid,
mhm,
grew that to 1,000, and then decided to jump into kind of other avenues of like funded accounts and things
mhm,
like that. So I think, I mean, obviously when my son was born in June, kind of sort of just took some time out. Purely just because I couldn't concentrate on some other stuff. But yeah, I think probably obviously with when it comes to funded, obviously you've got to be quite careful because there's rules and loads of different stuff in place. So I've had quite a few payouts and stuff that have been declined for kind of sort of silly reasons. But
mhm,
I think in total it's probably about 12 grand. And I've probably had about 4 or 5 of that has been declined. But when I think of it in a sense of how much those funded accounts cost and the learning and stuff that I've done with you guys and obviously some of the trades, like it's crazy, like in terms of percentages and stuff like that. And now I'm at a point now where I think like some of the stuff, like people don't, if people got kids, they'll understand. But when we were going through the process, it was like cots, prams, all this sort of stuff that you're having to pay for.
mhm.
You guys basically paid for that for me. Um, and now I'm at the stage like he's obviously getting a bit older and I can now concentrate a little bit more so on it. Um, and just build it. And I think the idea now is to build up my personal pot and then I can stop worrying about so much of the rules and things like that that come into play. And again, the offerings that you have with your brokers and things as well is nuts. But yeah, can't really thank you guys enough because it's kind of like I said, the learning piece for me, but also the money for me is just like a side piece at the minute as well.
Man, bro, I really appreciate it. That's the reason I'm doing why I'm doing is to help. I mean, as many people as possible to in all kind of situations, right? It could be students,
Yeah.
it could be new dads, it could be new moms, it can be people who are retired who doesn't have a retirement fund. Like there's so many different people in the group, and that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, man. So I really appreciate the kind words also.
No, I appreciate it. Like I said, it's helped out massively, but like I said, it's also learning that new skill, I think, as well,
Hmm.
where I can obviously the plan for me is to replace the income. But naturally as he gets older, hopefully he wants to play football, play golf with me and things like that. And that all comes at a cost as well, I'm sure. So yeah, it's been nuts to be honest. Like I didn't think it would go where it's gone. And seeing the potential with it is massive. Absolutely massive.
It's definitely gone a little bit better than making a few hundred quid here and there. Uh,
Yeah. And I think it's one of those, right? I think I was quite lucky, and the reason I did it the way I did it was because I was able to trade with a little bit more. That's why I've probably made a little bit more.
mhm,
But I think when you guys sort of talking about risk and things as well, it's also an element if you start with a certain amount, let's say it's like 500, and then it's just the knock-on effect of month on month on month. If you're doing it properly, you will be profitable and then building that pot up. And I think that's quite a big thing. Like you guys don't sell the fact that, oh yeah, we'll come in and you'll be a millionaire or you'll be making 10 grand a month in the first 6 months or whatever it is. It's very, very realistic. And obviously it depends on capital and things as well. But
of course.
yeah, the it doesn't matter at what level you are within the group, you're able to make profits. And it's really, really simple to follow as well, which is massive.
Freaking love it, bro. Do you have anything you want to ask me also, Aaron, while you have me? Because you're covering everything, so it's perfect, man.
No, I think for me, like, it was just like the learning piece. Like, I was kind of sort of looking to learn myself, and then obviously finding you guys was
Mhm.
massively helpful. But how did you like sort of get into it and sort of learn it? Like, I know a little bit of your story, like your partying days and things like that. But how did it all start for you in that sense?
I did it the completely wrong way, man. I did it. I had no one. Like I actually also joined a few trading groups many years ago when it wasn't like that big, the whole social media trader. But
Mhm.
I still kind of joined a few groups, and I blew all my money, like a few different accounts back then, because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have anyone to help me. Dude, I've never watched a YouTube video about trading, not once in my life, as crazy as it sounds. And I'm never gonna do it. The way I learned was I looked at the chart. Like obviously I Googled stuff and I found some tactics, and I really like the price action concept. I do not use indicators. I do not use all these weird freaking indicators because there's thousands of indicators, right? I took
Yeah.
a chart, I looked at it every single day at the same time, and I found something I wanted to specialize in. For me, I specialize in US 30, DJ 30, NAS 100, gold, and oil. That's the four things I know how to trade very, very, very well. And I nearly never touch anything else.
Okay.
Sometimes I touch a forex trade, but that's mainly mostly only to like give more trades to my community. It's not really because I want to trade it much.
Yeah.
So for me, I just looked at the chart. I picked a few pairs. I looked at the chart every single day for hours, every single day for years, bro. And then when you look at a chart for that long, every day for years in a row, you kind of get an understanding on what happens. And I like to keep my chart as simple as possible. So I only trade after support, resistance lines, I use trend lines, and I just use
Mm.
common sense and I use my gut feeling because
Okay.
I've traded DJ30 and NAS for so long that when something happens, some of it I can't explain to you. I just know what's going to happen next because I've seen it so many times. So for me, it's just about looking at the chart, picking a few pairs, looking at the chart, looking at that freaking pair every single day for I don't know how long until you know exactly what's going to happen. At least 2 out of 3 times, right? You
Yeah.
can't be right all the time.
It's funny because obviously I only do gold as well. And I think over the kind of time, I'd probably say the last 4 or 5 months, I've properly kind of decided to myself, like, actually, this can go a lot further than what I've been doing with it rather than dipping in and out, and probably where I've made the most money, I guess, as well.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think it was like the whole support resistance for me was kind of when some of the trades were coming in, I'd literally have the chart up on my laptop because I work from home. I'll have my laptop on one screen and kind of work here. And I would see what it was doing and if it was respecting a support line and then it was bouncing off of it and different things like that and kind of sort of learning as I go. And that's one thing that I think having my trend line that you guys are doing with the analysis, then seeing the support and resistance, and then actually understanding it a bit more as well as to, okay, fine. So if you've got a support line at 50 pips or 60 pips below, there's
Hmm.
every opportunity it could go to there. So then do I enter a trade that's kind of closer to that, expecting it to bounce, vice versa? And then also as well, watching gold, you're seeing it when it's hitting the resistance, and you're thinking, actually, that looks like that's going to go in a minute. Enter a trade, bang, shoots. And it's kind of that understanding. And the one thing I struggled with massively was like reading the charts because
Hmm.
wherever you see stuff, it's like, oh, try the Fibonacci, try all these different tactics of X, Y, and Z. And it's just kind of, I don't know whether it's just because I don't understand it, but the support and resistance element you're talking about, to me, is so much simpler.
It's
Um,
so simple, dude. Keep it simple. I'm not saying Fibonacci doesn't work. I'm not saying there's some gap thing. I'm not saying none of this doesn't work because I'm sure some people are profitable with it. But for
yeah,
me, I prefer to keep it as simple as possible. And everyone understands support, resistance lines, trend lines. And I'm aware that the past doesn't guarantee the future. But a lot of the time, the same shit happens. When it happens
exactly.
3 times at the same fucking area. It's probably gonna happen a fourth time again, right? Not certain, but at least 2 out of 3 times probably gonna happen again.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
The thing is, one thing I learned about trading is that it's not about kind of being right all the time. It's about percentages, right? As long as you win more than you lose, or kind of the risk and everything's there. Part of trading is losing trades. So it's then a case of, like you said, learning from that as to, oh, okay, so it did this time. The next time that happens, oh, is it going to do that again, or is it going to do what I think it's going to do? And again, it's just trial and error almost as to
mhm.
having the knowledge, which is definitely something I'm starting to pick up, which is good.
For sure, man. I mean, perfect. honestly, the way I trade is I look at support resistance lines, and if I have a support area with a trend line, and that support area and the trend line aligns at the same moment, and you also have a candlestick rejection at that moment, then that's a perfect
Yeah.
opportunity for me. I would take
Funny
that
enough,
10 out of 10 times, even if it hits stop loss. I would take it next time again.
that literally happened to me. I think it was last week. And a gold trade was put in the chat like shortly after, but it just so happened I had my support line, I had my trend, and it just bounced off of it. And I was like, last time I saw that, it did exactly what I think and just ended it just to see. And then I literally put stop loss just above it, just to sort of see if it worked out. And it literally went kind of bullish as you like.
Mhm.
Uh, and again, I think that's what I've been looking for, I think, as well, is kind of getting that more so of an understanding as to why things do what they do, and just kind of trial and error, really, which is, like I said, from your training as well, which is mental.
For sure, brother. I mean, keep it simple, man. That's what works for me, and then just follow the trend. If the trend is
Exactly.
extremely bullish for the past 2, 3 weeks on gold, it's probably also going to be bullish this week on gold, and that's why we've only been buying gold nearly all week, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I just follow the trend. I use common sense. I use my gut feeling. I use support resistance lines, trend lines, and I keep it very simple, and that works well for me. That's how I make a few hundred grand every month, and that's how I'm going to continue to make a few hundred grand every month for the
Exactly.
next many years, as I've done for the past few years, right? So keep it simple,
Yeah,
man.
well, exactly that. And I think what you're doing with everyone as well, because I guess there's that whole analogy of like, oh, if you're making all this money, like, why are you doing this element of it? But like you said, it's doing something more. And I'm sure from your perspective, like trading, you're kind of don't want to be sat in front of your computer the whole day looking at charts. So doing everything else with it, um, like I said, and helping other people like me is massive. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it, brother. I mean, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to
No
me today.
worries at
I
all.
uh, I have to get going. We have another interview in like 5 minutes, so gotta prepare for
Yeah,
that.
no worries. Appreciate it, buddy.
I appreciate the time, man. And if you have anything, I'm only a message away. And thank you
Yeah,
so much,
sound
bro.
spot on. Appreciate it. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you, man. Bye.